My name is Akinrinola, and I'm the current MD CEO of Mediquip Nigeria Limited. And I am super excited to be working with Just for Women Africa in conjunction with RTA.
You were the first cardiology physiologist in Nigeria. What inspired you to take on this pioneering role?
I'm going to turn that question around. It wasn't really what inspired me. It kind of dropped in my laps. When I was moving back to Nigeria about 19 years ago, I didn't realize this field didn't exist in Nigeria. So I didn't know I was actually doing that. So I moved to Nigeria. My first appointment was with the Lagos State government at Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, where it was only consultant cardiologists that did echoes at that time. Echoes basically scanning of the heart. I was the first one who came in, and I remember, if you can imagine, trained from the UK. I sat there for 6 months. They wouldn't let me, touch a probe to do a scan. And then we had the first set of people coming in from the UK to do cardiac surgery in Nigeria. And one of the things about me is I like to keep to time. So I got there on time as usual. And that's how we started scanning. And that was how I was allowed, not so to say, to start scanning in Nigeria. I started doing other things that we now do, making me the first cardiac physiologist. And what really makes me happy about that is that now I cannot count a lot of physiology students who now know they have hope, who now have a career. I cannot count how many of them have jackpot, and they're all in touch with me. So yeah, that's how I became the first cardiac physiologist in Nigeria.
What challenge did you face being the first cardiac physiologist?
I think that I've already alluded to that, in that it was for the consultants to accept that someone else can actually do supposed echoes other than themselves. As I said, I sat around for 6 months, but once they got used to it, it was, easy sailing. I'm proud to say Nigeria, at least Lagos. There's no center in Lagos right now that does cardiac services that does not have a cardiac physiologist. So it was just getting through that initial barrier. And once that was broken, the rest, they say, is history.
How did your experience in the UK shape your approach to healthcare leadership in Nigeria and across Africa?
Quite interesting. As you can imagine, working in the UK, everything is organized. Like, this is your job, this is what you do. But when you come to Nigeria, it's not quite as organized. And I'll give you an example. In the UK, when a cardiac physiologist is in the cath lab, your job is to monitor the rhythms, impute everything that's going on. When a patient arrests, you go and, shock the person back to life, so to say. But when we started in Nigeria, it was not quite as structured, and that's me putting it really nicely. You will be the plumber, carpenter, electrician, nurse, assistant, all in one. But the good thing about the UK, at least you learn the fundamentals in the UK. But applying it in Nigeria is a totally different story. You need to know a little bit about everything. You need to be extremely open-minded. Know your basics from the UK, apply it, but here you have to be really open-minded because you just never know what's around the corner.
The healthcare industry is constantly evolving. What do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges in Africa's healthcare sector today?
I'll start with the challenges, and I think we all know it's funding, funding, funding. Most people in Nigeria, we pay out of pocket for healthcare in Nigeria, which is, a big issue, which is, in my opinion, the main issue we have in Nigeria. If by some reason we can solve this problem, maybe with the national health insurance, that will certainly make a lot of difference. As for opportunities, people are now coming up with different initiatives, and I'm going to speak on one in particular, PPP, public-private partnership. In Nigeria, we all know that funds are an issue. So the government sector, the public sector, and the private sector are now coming together to work together, where the private sector buys the machine, places it in an institution, and the public sector obviously have the patients, they have the staff, and they work together, and they do what we call profit sharing. I think if we can really home in on this, work on this properly, I think that might be the future of healthcare in Nigeria. And another thing that we also do in Nigeria is everybody wants to own a hospital. I want my own hospital, you have your own hospital. If we can come together to have a big institution. We call it a hub and spoke model. So we all come together as an institution. In my opinion, I think that'll really help. That's what they've done in India, and it's helped them. You move away from this, I must have my hospital, you must have your own hospital, but actually come together and have big institutions. I think that will also help us as well.
You played a major role in increasing indirect business revenue for GE Healthcare. Can you share insights into how you achieved such impressive results?
I always say treat people the way you want to be treated. That is number one. Treat people the way you want to be treated. When I started this role, it was actually a role that was created, and it was because they were having a lot of issues manning the what we call the indirect platform with the direct platform. So treat people the way you want to be treated. I found that really, really helpful. You need to say what you do, not just lead by example. Lead by example, not just I'm saying something else, I'm doing something else. No way. Effective communication in communicating between the direct and the indirect platform so that they both know, listen, we're in this together. If I win, you win. We're dependent on each other. That was a very key, important one. It did take quite a lot of energy and work, but at the end of the day, we achieved it. And of course, you can't talk about General Electric without talking about compliance. Compliance was also something that really came in. We worked really hard with compliance. And I like to say throughout my tenure, he had no compliance, no real compliance issues.
Can they explain how the model used in India healthcare would benefit Nigeria and Africa?
Okay, let me go into detail. What I mean is that instead of, if you go into any streets in Lagos today, I don't know how many hospitals you'll find. From what we can see, it's clearly not working. In somewhere like India, they have like the Apollo hospital, one big hospital where different people own. So for example, you and I and four other people will come together in partnership to own an institution. We do everything with that institution. I always say it's better to have 2% of something than 0% of nothing. That's what I mean by that. Come together, bring business together. Some people, some occupations, some specialties are starting to do that in Nigeria, obviously not out there yet. And what happens is, apart from even managing it better, from a commercial point of view, you're actually making more money. Because if you look at it, if you have to order things together, if we are all ordering things together from a distributor or from a wholesaler, he's going to give us to us at cheaper prices than if I go and order my two, you go and order your two, Yemi orders his own two. If five of us come together and order 10, we can then demand from the supplier, I want a 50% discount on that. And for Nigeria being very price sensitive, that is really, really, really important. As I said, they've done it in India, and we all know India is working at the moment.
So do you think that's the future? Do you think that's the future for healthcare in Nigeria?
In my opinion, yes. Yes. Some people have started doing it, some institutions. If you look at Iwosan Lagoon, I don't know whether you know about them. They're actually acquiring more places. If you look at Aljolad, so just to name but a few, just two. But yes, in my opinion, that is the way to go.
Transitioning from clinic practice to business leadership is a significant change. What motivated this change and what skills helped you succeed?
Yet again, it fell into my laps. When I was working at Medtronic, I then got another role. You get promoted in these organizations where I moved from not just clinical, but I had to start selling. Basically, you had to start selling, and the two things that really helped me as a physiologist, I see myself as a technical person. So if you look at it this way, if you're going to buy a machine and I can speak your language, I can fix your machine, you're more likely to buy the machine from me than from someone who cannot speak the lingo. That's one. And as a physiologist who has worked in the cath lab, you're always ready to go. I'm always ready to go. I don't know how to wait. So I cannot wait to do what I'm supposed to do. I want to do it now, not in 2 hours' time, now. Because in the physiology world, someone could die. So those are the things that helped me. So in my commercial world, all my strategies, all my meetings, I always did it immediately. I never waited for, let's do it tomorrow. Because unfortunately, this is Nigeria, this is the world. You never know what's going to happen. That's fun. And of course, I did do a lot of courses. to learn, the business lingo, the business world, and obviously networking and talking to a lot of people, and also having mentors. Absolutely, that really helped me transition.
How do you balance business goals with ethical and potential centered healthcare delivery?
At the end of the day, in all we do, it's all about the patient. And as I always say, you never know who the patient is going to be. It could be me, it could be you. In a situation where, like, mm, in Nigeria, where things might go off, I'm always very sure you need to balance your ethics. At the end of the day, is a patient. And I'm going to give you a typical example that actually happened. In one of the countries I was working in, they had only one CT machine in the whole country. Someone had an accident. I was talking to my team. They were dilly-dallying. I lost it. And the reason I lost it is that patient could be my mother, could be your mother. So in all we're trying to do, you need to ethically deal with everything, do what is needed to be done at the right time, of course, obey all the rules of and laws of the country, but get things done rightly and properly. Because you'll be surprised if you do things properly from the word go, it actually gives us a better patient outcome.
What advice do you have for young women looking to enter the healthcare or business sector?
Know your onions. Know your onions. You need to do your homework very well. Yes, you can come out with the first degree, which is excellent. You need to know what to do. The healthcare is quite peculiar in the sense that at the end of the day, there's human life at the end of it. So yes, you're there to make money, which you will if you do properly, but you must know your onions. I would advise you to have mentors. You can never have too many mentors. It has definitely helped me, but you need to know your stuff and have your mentors that will certainly help you. And you can never underestimate networking. Go out, go for networking events. It always helps.
What's one leadership lesson you wished you had learned earlier in your career?
Make hay while the sun shines. There's no need delaying. Just do what you need to do. Straight on it and get on with it. No need dilly-dallying. Time waits for no one.
Which country in Africa would you say is doing well in the health sector?
South Africa, East Africa, Kenya, they're doing well. They've got their onions, they've got the strategies. And what makes these people so different, what's country so different from us is that their governments have always been in the trench with healthcare. They have adequate budget for their healthcare because whether we like it or not, until governments generally gets involved with healthcare properly, partner properly, healthcare, regardless of the country, will always struggle. So the thing is, those particular countries have governments who have policies, who have budgets in place for healthcare. And that's just two, like, up the top of my head.
What are the leading causes of cardiac problems in women and men in Africa?
Our lifestyle, our lifestyles have changed. We're sedentary. We're so stressed. We're in the traffic for hours. We don't take care of ourselves. A lot of people are hypertensive, they're diabetic, they have family history, they're not checking themselves, we're not eating the right stuff. With the advent of hamburgers and fast food, yes, fast food, we are always busy. You're eating your hamburger or your chips at your desk. You're not taking in the steps, you're not walking, you're not exercising. Regardless of what sex you are, man, woman, it will happen. So it's just basically changing lifestyle. We're not taking care of ourselves. We're heavily stressed. And we have a very heavy sedentary lifestyle. And all those things have combined to your point, to the increased rate of heart issues that we have today.
How can we encourage and support more women in Africa to pursue careers as a cardiologist, physiologist like you?
Visibility is key. A lot of young people, not even women, physiologists in particular, at least for Nigeria, they go to universities, they're brilliant young people, and they don't have an idea of what to do. So they have their physiology degree and is what next? Because historically, most of them ended up doing physiology because they couldn't get into medical school. So they either finish, go back into medical school, and for the ones that can't go in, they have no idea what to do. So one of the things I would think I would really ask our institutions to do is, as you're teaching your students about physiology, you also need to let them know what is available post university. I give a lot of talks around, around Nigeria, around that. There's so many things to do with your physiology degree now, but the problem is getting the information to the right people at the right time.
What other career opportunities and specialties are available for someone as a cardiology physiologist?
Okay, so once you do physiology, there are a lot of things you can do. You can do cardiac physiology like I did. There are perfusionists. There are ENT. Those are the guys that deal with the brain. There, the air. Sorry, we have EEG. The guys that do the tests with the brain. We have people who go into industry, like I have now. We have people who go into sports medicine. We have researchers, to name, and this is me just naming 7 off the top of my head. These are different branches that anyone with a physiology degree can go into. And that is just 7. There are a lot more than that. But the problem is people do not have this information.
What's next for you? Are there any exciting projects or initiatives you are currently working on?
That will be telling. But yes, there's some interesting things along the way that I'm working on. It's keeping me very busy. I'm working in partnership with about 3 companies actually. 3 companies. So yes, I do have my own company now. I am partnering with about 3 companies at the moment. That's all I'm going to say for now. But yes, watch this space. Interesting things coming up.
What message do you want to leave for the next generation of African business leaders and healthcare professionals?
Very simple. Be well behaved. Be well behaved. Be well behaved. Your reputation goes ahead of you. People will talk about you in rooms that you're not in. Just be well behaved, be compliant, do the right thing at the right time.